Welcome, listeners, to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into something really central to faith, but maybe a bit misunderstood. It's this whole idea of choice. We tend to think, I chose God, I picked this path. Feels very personal, very much about our decision.
Right. It stems from our sense of free will, our agency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what if Jesus himself said something that, well, turns that completely on its head?
That's the core of what we're looking at today.
Yeah, our source is a really powerful sermon by Reverend Eui-jeong from Asanman Church. It focuses right in on John 15, verses 9 to 17.
A very rich passage.
Totally. And our mission really is to pull out the key insights from that sermon, make them practical, something you can actually use day to day. So get ready, because there's a statement in there that might genuinely surprise you.
It often does,
Yeah.
because like you said, the common feeling, the narrative we often tell ourselves is, I chose this.
Right. I decided.
I weighed the options, I felt the call, I responded, or I looked for the right church and I chose this one. It feels empowering in a way.
Sure, it feels like taking responsibility.
Exactly, and it lines up with how we make choices generally. The sermon had this great down-to-earth analogy about buying a watermelon.
Yes, the watermelon.
You're there at the store, you're doing all the stripes, the weight, you tap it,
Trying to get that hollow sound.
check the stem, the spot on the bottom. You're applying your criteria to make your choice.
Your best judgment.
Right, and if you get it home, cut it open, and it's just disappointing. Mushy, sour, whatever. Whose fault is it?
Well, yours. You picked it.
Exactly. You bear the responsibility. Maybe you feel annoyed. Maybe you have to go back out. That's the typical human model of choice and consequence. Personal decision, personal responsibility.
Such a clear illustration. Okay,
Yeah.
so we have that human understanding firmly in mind. And then Jesus drops this line in John 15:16. He says pretty bluntly, "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you." He goes on about bearing fruit. But that first part, "You did not choose me, but I chose you."
Woo! It hits differently, doesn't it? It seems to directly contradict that feeling of, I made the decision.
Completely. So if he chose us,
Yeah.
what does that actually mean? And honestly, how does that square with, well, life?
That's the immediate tough question it raises. Okay, if God, perfect, all-powerful God, chose me specifically, then why is my life sometimes so hard?
Right. Why the suffering? Why the struggle?
Why does it feel like I'm constantly hitting walls?
Yeah.
It can lead to that doubt, Did God really choose me if this is what my chosen life looks like?
Yeah, that's a very real feeling for a lot of people.
And the sermon didn't shy away from this. It shared a really difficult story about a Korean missionary in Turkey.
Oh, I remember this part. It was tough to hear.
Yeah. He and his wife, she was pregnant at the time, were serving faithfully in a really challenging region, pouring their lives into it.
Building relationships, sharing their faith.
Exactly. Seeing some fruit, even. Then they felt called to move to expand the ministry, full of hope. New place, baby on the way.
And then? Tragedy.
He went out one evening, doing what he always did, sharing the gospel, and he was attacked, brutally murdered, stabbed, targeted specifically for being a Christian missionary.
Leaving his wife alone just weeks before giving birth. It's just awful.
It's gut-wrenching. And it forces you right up against that question. If God chose him, called him to this work, why this outcome? How can God's choice lead to such devastation? It shakes that belief to its core.
Absolutely. And that's why understanding what God means by choice is so critical. It's not the same as us choosing a watermelon.
Precisely. That's the pivot point in the sermon's explanation. Our human choice, like with the watermelon, is often about selecting an object or maybe assigning a task. It's one-sided.
The watermelon doesn't choose back.
Right. And even choosing a person for a job, say a servant, often implies a hierarchy. The servant obeys, maybe doesn't fully grasp the master's plan, but God's choice of us, it's different. He's choosing people, relational beings.
Okay, so it's inherently relational.
Yeah. Yes. And relationships demand a response, don't they? It's a two-way street. And here's the mind-blowing part Jesus clarifies right after saying, he chose us. John 15, verses 14 and 15.
What does he say there?
He says, no longer do I call you servants, but I have called you friends. Friends. Because, he says, he's made known to us what he heard from the Father.
Wow. So his choosing us isn't like picking a tool or hiring an employee.
Not at all. It's an invitation into friendship. Deep, transparent, collaborative friendship. He wants partners, not just servants. He wants to share his heart, his plans, his secrets, as the passage says.
That completely changes the dynamic from subordinate to friend.
It's huge. Think about your closest friends. There's trust, openness, shared goals, working together. That's the level of relationship God is initiating by choosing us.
Okay, so if his choice is this profound invitation to friendship and partnership, what's our side of the equation? What does our active response look like?
Well, Jesus tells us that too, right there in John 15. Verses 9 and 10 are key. Abide in my love. Stay connected to his love.
And how do we do that?
By keeping his commandments. And he boils that down in verses 12 and 17 to the core command. Love one another.
So our response is active obedience, but it's rooted in love, abiding in his love and showing love to others.
Exactly. That's how we live out our side of this friendship, this partnership he initiated. It's not passive acceptance. It's active participation through love and obedience.
Which helps avoid some common traps, right?
Yeah.
The sermon mentioned pitfalls that come from getting this wrong.
Oh, definitely. Two big ones. First, there's what you might call passive faith.
God chose me, so I'll just wait for him to do everything.
Precisely. Praying for something but taking no action. Expecting results without any effort, waiting for lightning bolts or unmistakable signs before moving.
Leads to stagnation in action.
And often, blame. When things don't just magically happen, the person might blame God. But no fruit comes because they haven't actually stepped into the partnership. They're on the sidelines.
Okay, that's one trap. What's the other?
The opposite extreme. Self-reliant faith.
Okay, God chose me, now I have to make it all happen.
Yeah. Throwing yourself into everything with your own strength, your own intellect, your own willpower, trying to force fruitfulness.
Sounds exhausting.
It is. It can lead to pride if things seem to work out for a while, thinking I did this. But more often, it leads to burnout, discouragement, even despair when your own efforts fall short because you weren't relying on God's strength or guidance.
So neither just sitting back nor trying to do it all yourself works.
Neither. The true path, the sermon really emphasized this, is cooperation. Like clapping, you need both hands to make a sound.
Good analogy.
It takes God's choosing, his invitation, his grace, his initiative, and our active response, our stepping out in obedience, our commitment to love, our abiding in him.
So he doesn't just pick qualified people.
No. He chooses us, often unqualified, and then as we respond, as we abide, he works in us and through us to make us fruitful. His support, his power, his resources kick in when we start moving in response to his call. It's a process he nurtures.
That brings it right down to earth, doesn't it? Especially if you're listening and feeling uncertain about, say, your future career or big life choices or just what's next.
Absolutely.
The message isn't necessarily figure out the grand plan right now. It's more about your response today.
Exactly. Don't get paralyzed waiting for absolute clarity, like the passive approach.
And don't burn yourself out trying to control everything, like the self-reliant way.
Right. The encouragement is to simply focus on living out that core response, love and obedience, right where you are in your current situation.
Do the next right thing, basically.
In love.
Pretty much.
I don't know.
Be faithful in the small things. Respond to that nudge to be kind, to help someone, to pursue something godly, even if it seems small or unrelated to some big calling.
And as you do that,
As you diligently take those steps, responding to his choice day by day, you start to see things unfold. Maybe not dramatically, but gradually. Doors open, connections happen, understanding grows.
and you look back and see the pattern, yes. You look back and realize, wow, okay, God has been leading me. It's often clearer in hindsight. And the amazing thing is, he chose you out of love first, not because you had it all together. Your willing response just allows his work to flow through you.
It's such a powerful takeaway. God chose you out of love. He's inviting you into this active friendship, this partnership. And your response, especially just living out love and obedience daily in small ways and big, that's the key to experiencing his presence and power and actually bearing fruit.
That's the heart of it.
And the sermon kind of pushed this further, didn't it? Mentioning summer, maybe feeling tired, wanting to ease off.
Yeah, sort of a call not to coast. Even when you feel weary, the invitation to partnership, to growth is still there. The encouragement was to metaphorically tighten your belts and keep responding, keep growing in that relationship now.
Don't wait for the perfect time or easier circumstances. The partnership is active right now.
Exactly. It's an ongoing invitation.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening to mull over. if God's choice really is this loving invitation that needs your active response, what's one concrete step, maybe a small step of love or an act of obedience? What's one thing you could do this week to lean into that partnership a bit more?
That's a great question to sit with. What does responding look like for you right now?